Is this working? Working? No, no, no. I'm going to have to shout. No, no, it's on there. It's on there. Is it working now? Nearly. I think it's better if I shout. Okay. Right. Okay, yes. Firstly, let me tell you, this race does not require courage. Everyone has said how brave I was to go on this race. That's absolute bullshit. When you leave the dock, there are flags flying, there's bands playing, and little beautiful women waving you goodbye. It's the easiest thing in the world. Drop the lines, off you go. When it gets difficult, it's too late. Anyway, I was sort of lucky because I didn't join the race until 3 days before the start. So if I was doing this race, it would mean that I wouldn't be joining the boat until, in 3 days' time. So I was able to avoid all the preparation, didn't have to stow any kit, anything like that. I just stepped on board and away we went. I think we were very, very lucky because we had the right mixture of sort of taking it relatively easy and enjoying ourselves, but going sufficiently fast that we managed to win the race. The boats that should have won all sort of fell a bit by the wayside, and we managed to avoid that. So, and we did enjoy ourselves. We drank an awful lot. And I think we averaged 3 bottles of wine a day. I remember at one stop putting 14 of those trays of beer on board, and that was not counting, of course, the cocktails that we had every evening. So we had a good time, and we also ate very well. I don't know how many of the boats in this race have deep freezes, but we had one. And even, good for you. Good choice. You chose the right boat. So when we got to Cape Town, the cook, we had a full-time cook, and the cook was cleaning out the freezer, and in the bottom he found 7 jars of caviar. And at the same time, there was a journalist on board. I don't know if, did you come on board that time? Oh, okay. Yeah, probably Bob Fisher. And he saw 7 jars of caviar, and he thought, if they finish with 7 jars, how many did they start with? But anyway, we did have, frozen chicken and steaks and, really nice food. It was obviously thawed out and cooked before we ate it, but we did eat well, and of course, some of the other boats were surviving on freeze-dried curries and other stuff, and I think they thought that this was all part of the macho thing about sailing around the world. And I think that they were a bit irked that not only were we drinking our way round, and not only were we eating very well, but we were also going faster than them. And I think that upset them rather a lot. But still, I mean, the main thing is to compete and to go around the world. And once you've been around the world, it's the most wonderful feeling, really wonderful. Perhaps the best feeling is that you don't have to do it again. But no, it is wonderful. You make better friends. You kind of know that when the going gets tough, you can survive. And it's really a wonderful thing to do. Hey, Barry, you were going to interview me. I wasn't meant to just... yeah. Oh, great. Skip's here, is he? Oh. Anyway, I don't know if I can give much advice to... Oh, I can. Yes, I can give you some advice. Anyone who's going to do this race, get your socks and your T-shirts and underwear and vacuum pack them. And that, you're laughing, but that is really good advice, because when things are really tough, everything's wet, everything's miserable, when you put on clean underwear and it's dry, it really makes a difference, really, I promise you.
Thank you, Butch, thank you very much.
Okay.
That's it. Can we get the...
Right, perfect.
They've gone.
Good job. Thanks.
No. David Alan Williams, can we borrow you? Simon Gundry and Mr. Warwick, come up as well. Yeah. We're going to talk a little bit about match racing around the world.
Hi Barry.
Yeah, hi there, good to see you. Good. So first of all, you sailed with Peter Blake on Burton Cutter. Tell us a little bit about, not necessarily Peter Blake, but what it was like starting.
That was quite a change for me because I left school, did a dinghy championships, did the fastnet race and went off on the first Whitbread race on Burton Cutter, which has always been described as less than prepared when we left. It wasn't even fit to go across the Solent. Peter Blake was one of the watch leaders on board, and he had sailed with Les on the Cape de Rio race, and he was the sort of hotshot sailor. Les was the sanguine, wise, and historic, as Barry's already said, explorer. But it was a pretty motley crew. In those days, the start sequence was 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and go. At the 10-minute gun, I looked around the boat, counted 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I was the 13th crew member. At that stage, I hadn't a clue who half the people were. Just like Butch, I actually went on the boat the first time 10 days before the start of the race and got signed to do it, go along 4 days before the start of the race. And a great experience. But Blakey was my watch captain, and a great display of leadership from him. We were prone to having a few accidents. As Butch also said, the hotshot boats all had problems of mast falling down and gear not working. On Burton Cutter, the problem was that when the boat left the dock here, none of the toilets were plumbed in properly, which we only discovered halfway across the Bay of Biscay. So a lot of the food perished and wasn't usable. But with the panics we had, Les would calmly come up on deck and take control of the situation and say, David, being the cabin boy, the nipper, we need a little something, cup of tea with plus, plus, plus. So get down below, cup of tea, put the milk in, put the sugar in, NATO standard, plus the whiskey, back up on deck. And but we got masters of overcoming some of these disasters, and Blakey was the great leader. Doing even just a simple head sail change, it'd be a powwow, let's get organized, let's do this, how are we going to do it? And then it'd be, let's go, go, go! As we marched up to the foredeck, this inept crew trying to pull down headsails and get nowhere, but we all followed the leader. It's a bit like going over the trenches in the First War.
So one of the things that we always heard about was that quite apart from the toilets not being connected, you didn't have any beds either.
Well, they were marginal. Some bought on bits of foam and mattress. Being the junior on the boat, I was sent to the front of the boat and had a bunk up there, which was basically a bit of plywood. And I did manage to find some off-cut of foam to sleep on. But being at the front of the boat, going upwind, you're airborne more than you are actually lying on your bunk. And plus the fact that the deck leaked like a sieve all over the place. It was a question of like living in the air with drips of water coming down on top of you at a regular pattern.
Well, let's bring in Simon. Simon.
Quiet, please.
Thank you.
Barry, it's so lovely to see you. I remember vividly taking you sailing in Cape Town. You're the only man I've ever known to get lockjaw and seasickness the same afternoon. It's great being here with my great friend here, Warwick Buckley, who sailed on Flyer. I was very lucky in my life to sail 2 round the world races with Peter Blake. Pippa, it's great seeing you here tonight. Pippa, not a day goes by. Pippa, not a day goes by that I don't think how lucky I was to sail with Peter. Intensely. Your life is my life. And what Peter did for me is, I could have been in jail. I could have been in jail, but Peter dragged me out of the life I was living to sail with him. And for that, I'm eternally grateful. I've got with me Warwick Buckley, who sailed on Flyer. Quiet, please, I said. Is it you, Tracy? Well, mate, come on. You're a great cook on Zaga, I'll remember that. You're a great cook. I got Warwick with me, who sailed on Flyer with Connie. We left Auckland. We had a match race of 22 days between Auckland and the 3rd leg. Auckland to Mar del Plata in Argentina. We saw each other for 22 days.
Well, I think he's actually telling a bit of bull there, which is probably pretty normal for Simon, but we actually saw each other for 10 days. I think they were behind us most of the time. It was great rivalry, fantastic rivalry. But yeah, so I mean, in the 2nd leg, Connie, as you probably all know, had a heart attack. And Julian Fuller, the onboard doctor, patched him up, I don't know how. And Connie turned around in his bunk, he didn't sleep the normal way, turned around in his bunk, looked at his instrumentation, and he had like a normal Lumar standard hatch in the bulkhead, and he'd angle his hatch in the bulkhead. He'd look at the data, and as soon as the speed dropped, he'd look in the reflection, send a message up through Edgard Kookaburra or Earl Williams, whoever was the watch leader at the time. They're off the helm, put someone else on, we're not going fast enough. Unbelievable guy, absolutely unbelievable guy. He did not, at one moment, did he want Peter Blake and the Saramco crew to know that he was unwell, because obviously that was a disadvantage. We were 3,000 miles from Fremantle, and he did not at all want us to throw him over the side or go to Fremantle and whatever. So in the 3rd leg, the race was on. You know, there was a huge amount of intensity. We had something like, as I say, Simon thinks 22 days, that's bull. They were always behind us. But anyway, we had 8 days where we saw Saramco behind us every morning. There they are. Better put a bigger sail up. Let's stay in front of them. But I do have to admit that Saramco beat us round the horn, and for that, I will always regret.
You people here must remember that Flyer was 80 foot, Saramco was 62 feet. Ask yourself, all right? And all the people going around the world right now, good luck. It's an amazing adventure. It's an amazing adventure. You do it, you complete it, and as I said to Pippa many times, it changed my life, it changed Warwick's life, and people like Earl Williams and Joe Allen, all these guys who did it in our era. We sailed with Eric Taberley, Alan Gabay, some wonderful people that I've been now travelling for nearly a month throughout the world, and I've stayed in one hotel room. I've stayed in friends' homes, I've sailed around the world with. Friends for life. Thank you very much.
So ADC Accutrack, who have we got from ADC Accutrack? Have we got? I saw Claire standing up. Can you come and join us, Claire and Nick Milligan? Woo! Where are they?
Thank you. Yeah.
Well done. Good to see you again. Yeah, we're going to share the
Go on,
mic.
no, you go first.
Please. You get that.
So, ADC AccuTrack, and now translated. And you've been to see the boat?
It's wonderful to see the boat again. She's looking absolutely beautiful. All credit to the new owners and the crew, and she looks absolutely amazing. Sort of the same, but really up to date and up to scratch.
Yeah. Now, ADC AccuTrack, everybody remembers the name, but not the product.
No, quite.
This was a sponsorship thing that went slightly wrong, not for you, but for them.
Well, it was impossible to pronounce the name, and nobody knew what it was. Apart from that, it was a huge success, the sponsorship. It was actually a turntable for discs.
A record player, but
Yeah.
they never made it.
It was a big hit in South America.
Oh, good, good. So, did you go all the way round?
We did. In fact, we were the only crew to complete the race without change. 12 of us started and 12 of us finished, which was quite an
done.
achievement, I think.
Well done.
And we're still talking to each other because 8 of us are here this evening.
Fantastic. Yeah. So, is this one of the big things about this race, about the comradeship that develops within the crew?
Well, we were a diverse group, and we didn't know each other very much before we started. But we all held together, and we were out to make a success of it. And we had a great sense of camaraderie, and that was really important. And okay, we didn't win, but we tried hard, and we came 5th, which we thought was pretty damn good. And the boat stayed in one piece, and we stayed in one piece, and that was the important thing.
Yeah. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks. Right. So, have we got Citran and all the guys from Crichton's Naturally? Where are you all? You were all down the front here earlier. Can you come up? Tell us. Hello? Crichton's Naturally. Can you come up to the stage?
Well, I'm first, so I've got the mic. Tony! Tony!
Where is he? Oh.
Stand up.
Oh, is he?
He's over there. He's happy to watch.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah. Right. We've got.
Hang on to that. Yeah.
So, Tony, you were one of the coordinators of all this. You're a part owner. You got it all going. Tell us a little bit about, because you're basically the last of the Corinthian sailors until now.
Well, you're right, the whole crew, we pride ourselves on the fact it was the last amateur team, but there've been others since and there'll be more. But so John Chittenden and I started it off. John's daughter Jo was on board for the whole race, and Malcolm joined us immediately after, and the rest of the team here all grew.
Just introduce us.
So, Jo Chittenden, Ken Gale, from the Whitbread Brewery in Magor, I seem to remember those days. Dave Sowery, Bart Van den Vee. There's Graham Moody, whose son's over there. Won't join us on the stage, but Martin was our youngest sailor and the star of the team because he taught us how to race.
And David.
David Allen Williams designed the bloody boat, put it back together with Malcolm McEwen and Alan Code, Julian Morris. So, Julian, say something, please. You've never been silent before.
This could be a first time to be silent. Yeah, it was so long ago, and I look at all these faces, and the faces have all changed a lot. So 33 years have not been kind to us, that's for sure. But the memories have still endured, and the friendships that were created during the race, which everyone who's done the race, who's sailed around the world, is familiar with, those bonds have stayed with us, and we're very lucky to have these bonds that take us forward.
Good, good. And tell us, Ken, about the most exciting bit about going across the equator. tell us what they can all expect.
A bit of dullness and boredom. You probably got about 4 or 5 days where the wind just stops, and all you do is like a bit of sunbathing, wash your clothing, you cross the equator, have a few drinks. Yeah, it's quite interesting. But in terms of me, I joined this crew, fantastic crew. I was an apprentice at a brewery in Mago working for Whitbread, and it was transformational. So I left the brewery probably 2 years later, got a few engineering degrees, and it's the most transformational thing I've ever done. Enjoy your entire experience. It's amazing.
Ken, can you tell us why they didn't brew any decent beer? One of the poorest things on this race was Windward Lager. Windward Lager was just like piss. I've still got 4 cans of it sitting at home, and I daren't open any of them.
Yeah, they brewed that on a Wednesday evening, towards the end, middle of the week, and it wasn't very high gravity. It was rubbish. They sold it. There was Welsh bitter in Wales, and it was the English bitter in England, of course, Windward Lager. Yeah, but it was rubbish. Yeah.
It was one of the funny things you get with sponsorship. It was called Whitbread Windward Beer, wasn't it? And it had boats going round the can with spinnakers up. But anyway, they become collector's items, not the beer, but the cans. Thank you very much indeed. Oh, Joe, tell us tell us a bit about your dad and what made him do this. Take up the challenge.
Well, Barry's asking me to do this because I spoke to Barry on arriving and was saying how young and wonderful he looked. And I did say about my dad. So my father was John Chittenden. I'd sailed with him from when I was a child, and I'd done a lot of sailing in between. I left school. I think I got about 2 months into my A-levels, and I thought, I'm not having any more of this. I'm off. I went sailing, did some transatlantics, was doing boats, and then I tried for traces for Maiden, then heard, this is a very long-winded way of saying it, so I think it was in the Azores, that my dad had remortgaged the house, was selling everything, told me, Mum, I'm going to sail around the world. And he got the idea from loading beer onto Sayula when Sayula was on dock before the beginning of the race, and in his mind, galvanised, I'm going to do this race. And then he got together with Tony. I think Tony and him had a pub nearby. They both worked for the RYA, and over a beer they said, what the heck?
And what he said to me when we bought the boat was, by the way, one condition. My daughter's coming with me because she's told me if she doesn't come around the world with me, she won't speak to me again.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Can we have Brian Hancock? Rick Tomlinson? Are we about? Is Brian and Rick about? Yes, I will do next. Can you get him with her? No, I don't. No, but just bring him. Where is he? Oh, he's saying. Have we got Rick? Oh, here he is. And did Skip Novak make it? Or did he miss his flight? Skip, are you here? So, you guys were both on drum. Sorry. You guys were both on drum.
Yes.
That was your, that wasn't your baptism, was it?
No, I did a bit before that.
You were on the old flyer.
I was on the, we took the flyer that won the 77-78 race, spent $250,000 on the boat, and the boat went slower. But we thrashed it around the world. It was called Alaska Eagle, an American boat, His nickname by the fleet Alaska Beagle, because the boat was a dog. But we outdid, in terms of food on board, we always had a Sunday roast. The thing about the Whitbread in those days is they spaced the race 4 years apart, because it takes 3 years for you to forget how cold and terrified and miserable you were. And after 3 years you think, well, that wasn't so bad. You remember the sunrises, the sunsets, the trade winds, so you sign up again. So I signed up again to sail on drum. And I'll come back to the rest of my sailing pod after Rick talks about drum.
So Rick, you were a young photographer then, and it really started your career off with a bang, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, Barry, but I wasn't actually a photographer back then. I was a boat builder. But it wasn't me that put the keel on, I promise.
Yeah, but you were the photographer on board.
Yeah, because of Simon Le Bon's involvement, the organisers once said, "Oh, we need somebody to take pictures. We don't need everybody running around with cameras. Rick, you're the youngest. You do it."
Well, that was
started
brilliant.
my career.
Yeah. Here we are. I think are these yours? Is your picture? No.
Not yet.
Right. Can we show Rick Tomlinson's slides? Brilliant. We've got a little selection here of yours. Here we. I don't know. Anyway, so what about when the keel fell off? This was in the Fastnet race just before the Whitbread.
Yeah, that's correct. The keel. We were doing the Fastnet race in 1985, and literally sailing along the south coast of England off Falmouth. A big bang, and the keel fell off the boat. The boat inverted in a capsize and then continued to a 360 turtle. So it was a pretty frightening experience.
And were you down below?
I was down below, yeah. I was. I actually came out through the hatch as the boat was rotating around. So I was probably the last person out.
You had the photographer's berth.
No.
So you were the last out, yeah.
Yeah, and six people were stayed inside the boat, and then the boat was upside down. But fortunately, a number of other competitor boats saw the incident happen, and came over to help us. And then the Coast Guards were alerted very quickly, and we were very, very quickly rescued. It was a very lucky situation. If it happened in the night when the boat was going between Land's End and the Fastnet Rock, then lives would have been lost.
Yeah. But the most extraordinary thing was getting the boat back ready in time to race.
Indeed, yeah, Barry. The boat was upside down in the English Channel about 6 weeks before the start of the race, and we were able to salvage the boat. We had a spare rig. The boat was brought back to this area, to the River Hamble, and a new rig was put in. All the electronics were replaced, all the sails were replaced, and we actually set off on the Whitbread race literally 6 weeks later. But nobody went down below for about 3 days.
Well, we've got Rick's pictures up on screen now, so do enjoy them, because they're fantastic. Yeah. Thank you very much indeed.
I have a Fazisi story.
Oh, God, a Fazisi story.
So I had done my 2 Whitbreads with Skip Novak, and when I finished the one on drum, I got married, and my wife said, "Put in the marriage contract, another Whitbread is grounds for divorce." And I said, "Done." Signed the contract, and then didn't think about it, but I heard that Skip was the co-skipper of Fazisi, the Soviet Union's first entry. And 48 hours before the start, Skip called me up. He said, "Bugsy, what are you doing for the next 6 weeks?" I go, "Oh shit, Skip." He said, "There's money involved." So I looked at my bank account and I said, "Where do I sign?" So I flew over to England, went down to Southampton, and Skip introduced me to the Soviet crew, 14 of them. None of them spoke a word of English. And then I noticed we were in trouble when they were spinning the winch to see which way the line went around it. And we took off. The London bookmakers had given us 100 to 1 odds we would make the start line, let on the finish line. And we took off out of the Solent in second place behind Steinlager. We got a spinnaker up. We got down to, I think, Cape Finisterre. We needed to either jibe or take the spinnaker down, but we didn't know the Russian word for jibe or take or down. So we left it up. And the rest of the fleet jibed out into the Atlantic, and we were suddenly dead last. But as we got down toward the equator, we had no weather electronics. We just had some old faxes that came in. So we looked out the window and saw a puff there, a puff there, a puff there. And we managed to go from 15th to 5th. So this is pretty good news. So we called our race headquarters back in Moscow and we said, we no longer last, we're in 5th. And they came back and dryly said, makes no difference though. Russian press been reporting in first place since the race started anyway. So that's it. I have a lot more, but that's enough.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We're going to ask Stuart Keane to come up now, who is patron of Citran, which is the charity that the Ocean Globe Race supports. Well done.
I'll just say a couple of things, Stuart, before you get started. We're all getting old, eh? But in Europe, Citran, in fact, you can explain all that, but it's partly dementia and all sorts of things. And there's a few really good people coming up after this. But this is a Citran teddy bear, okay? And it's the official teddy bear, got the logo on the back. Every one of the boats sailing around the world will be carrying a Citran bear, and at the end of that it'll be auctioned off, the proceeds going towards a very good cause. But on that I'll hand over to you, Stuart.
Yes, I'm going to ask you. So, Stuart, what is Citran and what does it do?
Citran is a world...
Can you listen for a moment? Can we
okay, listen up, beers off, shut the tap.
First of all, before I start, I'd just like to thank Sir Che Bly. He's the best warm-up act that I've ever had in my life. Yeah, Citran is a world-leading research centre into motor neurone disease, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's and SMA, which is a childhood form of motor neurone disease. And it was opened by the Queen and Prince Philip in 2010. Prior to the opening of Citran, it was a Frenchman called Charcot discovered the disease in the mid-1850s. And since then, right up until 10 years ago, there'd only been one drug that had part helped to stop the regression of the disease, and that was called Rizol. We raised £20 million to build the world's first dedicated research centre, and Don was the international patron. And Don's work in the Bounty Boat expedition and the GGR of 2018 and 22 has helped to raise the 20 million. We've got now 300 and odd scientists and doctors from all over the world, and they're so dedicated trying to find the cure of this disease. There's been a recent clinical trial headed by Pam Shaw, head of the research centre in Sheffield, and this trial, when it first started, it lasted 18 months. There was a lady who had got MND, and she was in a wheelchair. She is now, after the end of the trial, she can do without sticks and walk upstairs. This is a massive breakthrough, and this drug is called Torfen, and it will help to start the research that will eventually find the cure. We are now trying to raise another £20 million to build Citran 2. We have the land to build Citran 2. This will enable us to get a further 300 doctors and scientists from all over the world. And with their help and what the patrons have raised so far, which is 6 million out of the 20 in 18 months. So this is tremendous. So one notable stat is that by the time we reach the age of 80, 1 in 4 of us will have one of the big 4 neurological disorders, which is an alarming stat. And we have to raise it by private funds to get the building. We can get help with equipment after that, but it's a tremendous feat. So with your help, and when the bears come back, and if anybody would like to make a donation, they can do direct. We've just received a £1 million donation from a retired professor of architecture, and so with your help, we can get there.
Well, that's quite a challenge for Don. yeah. We've got to raise all this money in the next 8 or 9 months. So
let's hope so. And in conclusion, I'd like to quote an old Irish blessing. There are good ships and wood ships, the ships that sail the seas, but the best ships are OGR friendships, and may they always be.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart. And I'd just like to, the big four is, of course, dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, as well as MND. And I just make a mention for Neptune, you know, and the boys and girls on board that are really pushing the Parkinson's situation as well. So, and I'm getting older, and I wonder whether I'm going to get dementia like my mother. But anyway, thanks, Stuart. Okay, carry on, Barry.
We've got Andrew Whitfield. You're going to come up and tell us a little bit. British soldier. British soldier was in fact Che Blythe's British Steel, went round the world, 59-footer. That he became the first person to sail solo non-stop around the world against the prevailing winds and currents. Brilliant, yeah.
Is that working?
I think so, yeah. Tell us.
Che, thank you very much for lending your boat to us. When you'd finished with it, it was pretty wrecked. We had quite a lot to do to it. We put a bigger mast up, and it only had one bunk, and there were 10 of us. And there was no heads, lavatory to you lot. So we put in the best heads of any boat in the race. It was a gimbaled heads on a quadrant, so that we could tack. When you were on the same tack for 3 or 4 days, it made a big difference. But anyway, thank you for the boat. The Army borrowed Che's boat in 1973, and a chap called Neil Collier, who's not here today, I know he's alive, but he's not here. He put the race together. 400 people volunteered in the Army to crew for this race. There were 40 places for the 4 legs, so we only each did 1 leg. What hasn't been mentioned before is the stopovers. We were like rock stars. It's the only time in my life I've been like a rock star. We had fantastic fun. I was in Rio, and they very cleverly arranged things so that we were there for Carnival. And I was there for about 3 weeks, having one hell of a good time. We were mostly bachelors, so that was good fun. One of the things that we found was there was no one to race against. After 3 days, we never saw another yacht in the race. We didn't have a wireless because our old Marconi wireless had been smashed in a knockdown going round Cape Horn. And all the valves got broken. Valves, you know what valves are. So because we weren't seeing any other boats, we had to race against each other. I was a watch leader, and we had the same watch for 7 days. And so we would race against the other watches on the distance run and the time it took. And really, it was quite boring, but we did have cocktail parties just like Sayula. We had army compo rations. What did you have, Che? You had curry. And the other thing you had was curry. And then on Wednesdays you had curry. Anyway, that's it. It was great fun. And I'm very sad there are no other people here tonight from British Soldier. But
no, but you're here.
I'm
Thank you
here.
very much indeed. Tapio, come and join us. Tapio Lentinen, a veteran, a young nipper on Fazer, Finland.
Just before we get on to Tapio, because I know he can wait for 2 seconds, I just want to throw a plug out for Boatshed and Neil for putting on all the beers. This has actually been, the beer, the party, the piss up, call it what you like, is all thanks to Boatshed. They're our subtle partners, and we really appreciate their support. It's always parties. Do you want to come and say a quick one? Tapio can wait, he knows you too well. Hop up and say g'day, Neil.
I say good day, do I? Is that the required nomenclature? Thank you very much to everyone, and I hope you've enjoyed the beers. Remember, there is 2 things written on the koozie. It's a philosophy, and the other side, refer a boat, is an income stream. Thanks to Don, all the team, and we've pretty well finished all the free beers, but Renegade, our friends over there, and also the bar and the tent are open, so please have a wonderful time. Thank you, Don.
I'm sorry, it was Scott back in Finland, and I was in the wrong race.
Finished both of them.
Yeah. So, how old were you?
I was 23 in 1981 when I sailed the Whitbread as was leader of the Scout Bank of Finland.
Yeah. So, and did it change your life?
Maybe it did.
Maybe we should ask your family.
At least in the way that I'm back here now.
Yeah, true. And what are you going to be doing with your yacht now? You've got a young crew too.
Yeah, well, I'm going to enjoy my life in the aft cabin and let the youngsters sail.
So, but is it not something to give the next generation an opportunity to do this and hopefully continue?
Well, yes, my mission with this project is to keep the Finnish ocean sailing tradition legacy alive. I'm as a Finnish sailor, I'm proud of the history of the Ericsson-owned square riggers, which were the most successful ones in the Great Grain Race, which was raced from 1922 to 1949, and the last ones in 1949 were two Finnish ones, and it was from 31 years till 1981 when I was doing it, and it was the inspiration for both Golden Globe race and Whitbread race was the Great Grain Race. So it's kind of continuing the legacy, and I'm happy to bring the next generation of Finnish sailors into ocean racing. The average age of our 9 youngest team members is 25 years. Please.
Where are they?
Wave your hands, everybody. Galliana with security.
Well, best of luck to you all. Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Tracy, come and tell us. God, look at that. Oh, I thought you were going to leap up then.
So did I. I chickened out at the last minute.
So, Tracy, the first time I met you, we didn't really meet. We were in opposing telephone boxes. I was dictating my copy to the Times, and you were talking to your mum.
I was telling her I'd got a ride on a Whitbread boat.
You were so excited.
I was. I did not know what being a cook on a Whitbread boat for a load of guys entailed at the time, otherwise I wouldn't have done it. But it does make me laugh when I tell them that I raced around the world with 17 South African men. I don't know why you're cheering. And then they say, so why did you do an all-female crew? And I'm like, did you not hear the last sentence?
So it was quite a struggle, wasn't it, to get Maiden up and running. It wasn't helped by me and Bob, probably, but...
No, you were vile, actually, Barry, I have to say. I mean, there was Bob Fisher's, Maiden is just a tin full of tarts. I'm sorry if you were at the dinner the other night, you've heard all of this stuff before, but for those of you who weren't. But I have to say, Bob did change his mind.
Yes.
So when we won the third leg coming into New Zealand, Bob came out on one of the support boats. Thank you very much. Bob came out on one of the support boats as drunk as a lord, I think is the expression. I think they were sort of holding him onto the support boat. And his copy the next morning was not just a tin full of tarts, a tin full of smart, fast tarts.
And go on.
We loved it. And someone said to me, you know the word tarts is still in that sentence. I went, baby steps, baby steps.
And I had to eat humble pie too, because in Auckland we had to present you with the Yachtsman of the Year. This was still Yachtsman, and then the Yachtsman of the Year award, voted by all the journalists. And you just won that leg.
Yeah, that was amazing. And you know, we've talked about Peter Blake, and I'm so happy to see Pippa here tonight. You know, Peter just wasn't just a great sailor and an icon of the Whitbread and did every single Whitbread until he won. I mean, God, that's dedication. But Peter, you know, very quietly in the background helped me when I was putting Maiden together. In fact, Skip Novak did as well, but he never admits to that. So a couple of the old guys, you know, really did, you know, sort of help me with the weather and advice and everything else. And then when we were in New Zealand and he presented me with the Yacht's Man of the Year trophy, first woman to win it in 34 years. Two women have won it since, and it's still called the Yacht's Man of the Year trophy. But I think he was very proud, which was an amazing moment. Then, of course, I went on to buy his boat Enza to do the Jules Verne. So we had a few, and the Bring a Potted Plant party. And I saw the photo.
Yes,
there's a photo.
yeah,
I did not know there were photos.
Yeah. That was quite a party, wasn't it? Who was it that brought the palm tree?
It was us that brought the palm tree. We didn't have a potted plant, so the guys on Atlantic Privateer, we were on our way to the party, and I said, guys, we don't have a potted plant. And they went, no problem. We uprooted a palm tree from the boulevard on the way to the Bring a Potted Plant party, arrived with the palm tree, deposited it on Lion, New Zealand. Oh God, poor Peter. Yeah.
It was in the Central Reservation at one point, growing there quite happily until they brought the car along and pulled it out. Yes, I remember. It was. You may see the picture again, but it was a great party, wasn't it? It was. Everybody had to bring a plant. We stole them out of the hotel, but everybody. It was a great party. Yeah. Now, one final thing. The thing that made headlines all around the world was you girls.
Don't ask me about the swimsuits.
They're brilliant.
Okay, so we're
having swimsuits.
The swimsuits. Okay. Okay. Well, I've been backwards and forwards on this. We thought we'd won 2 legs and we could wear what we wanted to wear. And if we hadn't won 2 legs, we would never have worn the swimsuits. But we felt we deserved to wear whatever we liked to wear. And God, we looked good, I have to say. Oh, to look like that now and know what I know.
You still look like that. You still look like that.
I love you so much. And then, you know, we thought, well, we got a bit of hassle from some feminists, and I mean, we're the biggest feminists around, so we did backwards and forwards on it. But then when they showed the premiere of the film Maiden at BAFTA in 2019, all of our daughters were there, and we sort of thought, oh, how are they going to take this? And actually, my daughter, who was at the time 19, said to me, Mum, you're always telling me that women can wear exactly what they want to wear. They don't have to say sorry, and they can be proud of what they do. And you did. She said, so stop apologising for the swimsuits.
And who do you think was at the forefront of taking those photographs?
Barry, I think it might have been you.
No, it was Bob.
Oh, was it Bob? Right. I do have to say though that the left nipple shot, I think is yours, Barry.
Oh, is it?
I think it had its own Twitter account at one point. Thanks for that.
Oh, pleasure. It was all mine. Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. today is Trace's birthday, 21 today. Happy birthday, Tracy! Yay! Well done, well done. Happy birthday.
Can I just say that, 33 years ago when we did Maiden, we were not half of the calibre of this incredible Maiden crew that we have now on the boat. They are smarter, they're faster, they're sassier, they're better than we ever were. And I just wanted to say good luck to the girls on Maiden and good luck to everyone in the OGR. I know you're going to have an absolutely awesome time. Thank you.
And champagne, there we are. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. That was all kind of fun. It was, quite a night. So feel free to carry on a bit, but just once again, I'd like to thank Neil at Boatshed for the beers, and thank you all for coming. If you're a veteran and you didn't get your coin or your hat, please make sure you do. So you would have seen the programs hanging around, blue covers there for the official OGR program. Make sure you take 1, 2, 3 or 4 and spread them around with your friends. The posters are on the little stage in there. If you want an OGR poster, grab that. And if you want some advice on investment, this is going to be a no-brainer. You would have seen the original Whitbread coasters on eBay for unbelievable amounts of money. If you want to go to the bar, they'll give you the official Ocean Globe Race Whitbread 50th anniversary celebration coaster, and 50 years from now, I guarantee you'll make a fortune, okay? So, and I just strangely, obscurely, listening to everyone talk about the late Peter Blake, Sir Peter Blake, I just want to throw my story. In 1988, I was organising and running an around Australia yacht race. Peter and oh, jeepers, I've gone blank on it. No. God, I've forgotten his crew now. Anyway, who will meet up in New Zealand. They won the race in Steinlager 1, the trimaran. And I just want to throw in, at the time, Pippa, you'll remember all of this. I was much younger, it was 35 years ago, and Peter was even then coaching me on what he called the bullshit pays the bills, on how to get a sponsor and how to look after him at the same time. And also lots of little things. He was instrumental in me making an attempt to run my first Whitbread campaign. What an amazing guy. So we have a trophy within the OGR, which is a spirit of Sir Peter Blake Spirit of the Whitbread Award to the most outstanding crew member that gets all the way around. So he was a great guy. So on that note, I'd just like to say thanks. We're all looking forward to Sunday. Let's hope there's some breeze. We've got an amazing group of people, boats. We're all very proud of you and all that sort of stuff. Stay safe. We want to see you all get to the end. I want to thank 2 other people. One I can't mention, but it was an anonymous benefactor that was instrumental in getting us to the UK to start the race. It wasn't going to happen. We declared publicly that we weren't going to be in England. We tried for 2 or 3 years to get someone to support us. So that benefactor and also MDL celebrating their 50th anniversary threw in the mooring and this great venue for parties and stuff. So thanks very much, MDL. Thanks, Barry, and all the people that are involved with this tonight's little presentation. So have a great time, and we'll see you back in the UK in April or something. Thanks.